Joining us right now from our content partners over at KCRA 3. I think Sean's worked for 1, 2. Sean, you need two more. You need two more stations, two more TV stations.
Univision's up next.
Univision.
Univision.
Univision. Who are we missing? Univision and a couple others. Good morning, buddy.
Hi guys. I was listening to your relegation, and you had me thinking. I started doing a little deep dive into like if that would even be like just reminding myself of how relegation works. And I think the one thing that hadn't been mentioned is as to why it probably wouldn't work is the fact that revenue sharing across the league, like you're essentially, especially, I think it would just obliterate the small market.
That's the problem, isn't it? Is that so many? I have yet to see a tanking solution that doesn't obliterate small markets. That's what sucks.
Yeah. Well, I would lean towards, and I always give Vinny Goodwill, he's an NBA reporter who I think he's at ESPN now. He used to be at Yahoo Sports. He's bounced around a little bit, but covers the league. He's been doing so for a long, long time. So he's the one where I first saw this. So I call it the Vinny Goodwill theory, which is, and I know it's not unique and people have talked about it, but I just think the best little tinker that they could do without totally disrupting the competitive nature and the closest thing to the league is to really decide the lottery at All-Star break or even before All-Star break. And, you don't at that point totally take away from maybe like look at the Hornets right now.
Yeah.
The Hornets have just won 15 of 18 games, I think, as of yesterday. I don't remember what it was, but like they kind of completely turned their face of their season around very, very quickly, over just a span of a month, really. And now they're having talks about what their season looks like that's vastly different from what it began January, and just kind of the approach and what they're trying to do. So, they could be a team that totally not only benefits from a pick at midseason, but having your players play not only meaningful games and keeping a winning culture and not, try to do things to get to avoid NBA fines and all that. So I just think that would almost be the quasi-perfect solution. I don't think there is a perfect solution, but I think that's the closest thing to a perfect solution, if you will.
And it's something that with the Sacramento Kings, nobody likes this. I was just explaining a couple segments ago. Yeah, I'm glad they're doing this. I think it's necessary. I've wanted them to do this for a while now, a true blue rebuild. It's when you look at Oklahoma City, when you look at San Antonio, when you look at Detroit, when you look at a lot of you look at just how quickly they turned it around. And you have to draft right. You have to have luck. You have to be good at putting a team. It's not just lose and profit. There's a lot that goes into it, but I don't think this is the worst team, Sean, we've ever seen. It's certainly not the least talented team we've ever seen. But this might be the worst put-together team we've ever seen. And I think someday on the ABC Sunday Night Movie or something, NBC Sunday Night Movie.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. There's got to be a 30 for 30 on going from the beam team, the 3 seed, and all the good feels. Almost like, how could you possibly go from that to this in that short of a time?
Yeah, and I think it forces an organization especially to look at what your franchise player is, because I think, look, I don't want to put all the blame on De'Aaron Fox, but like this trajectory of this franchise completely altered the most with the trading of De'Aaron Fox and maybe not getting what you want for him. Just feeling like you had to get talent, you had to maximize your trade value at that moment. I think you look at something like, you can identify a few teams. Now, granted, they're bigger markets, at least with Golden State, but like, what's the inevitable with big contracts on their team? You see all these teams just trying to shed salaries. Mm-hmm. What does it look like? I mean, you're kicking the can down the road in Milwaukee with Giannis. I think trying to find those teams that are going to be willing to accept their fate quicker than maybe they should. You can talk. I've had debates with people about legacy, and you're in an era where nobody plays for one team forever. But you look at what the Warriors are doing, and it's like, does it mean more to have Steph Curry finish his career as a Warrior, or to be in this eternal spin? Like, you look at the Lakers and LeBron James, like, they should have moved off LeBron years ago.
Yeah.
And it hasn't. Fortunately, they have somebody to build around in Luka Doncic. But the Warriors, I just look at them and I go, man, you're pissing in the wind in a way, because I just don't think you're going to be able to completely achieve what you want without paying boatloads of luxury tax. And these aprons make that so much more harder to do.
Yeah.
That one could argue that if you have a player on your team that's a $60 million contract per year, it just makes things entirely difficult.
Sean Cunningham of KCRA 3 joining us. The problem also with the tanking conversation and a lot of the periphery is that numbers just don't always support it either. And some of it, I think, weirdly enough, is just dumb luck. I'll give you, here's an example. So the San Antonio Spurs, towards the last 4 or 5 years of Greg Popovich's tenure, sucked. And they ended up getting Victor Wembanyama for it, and Stephon Castle for it, and Dylan Harper for it, and absorbed Harrison Barnes. Thank you, Sacramento. And that unprotected pick swap coming up, and De'Aaron Fox and all that. But you look back, and that's all fine and dandy. But if they don't get Wembanyama with the 1 pick, a generational superstar, we're having a different conversation. But by the way, they also got Tim Duncan. And they also got David Robinson. And this is smelling to me a lot like the Robinson-Duncan thing, in the sense that they get Wembanyama, but they're also going to have Harper and Castle surrounding. You have these superstars that they just so happen to get within the space of a couple of years. Oklahoma City is the defending NBA champions. They're a small market team. San Antonio is the biggest dynasty of the 2000s. Small market team. And then you even look at, like, last year, the Luka trade, which was laughable. It was disgusting how he was not on the open market, how the Lakers once again, in a long line of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to Shaquille O'Neal to you name it, acquiring these superstars in their prime from other teams, farm teams. They get Luka Doncic. But let me ask you a question, Sean. If you are the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks right now, and Rob Pelinka calls you and says, you know what, we've been thinking about it. We'd like to trade you Luka Doncic for Cooper Flagg straight up. Do you make that trade if you're Dallas?
No.
I don't either.
I wouldn't. I just think, especially in the sense of, let's rewind back to, I know it's probably PTSD for a lot of people, but go back to the Tyrese Halliburton for Domantas Sabonis trade. You all understand why they made the deal, but I think what gets lost in all that is De'Aaron Fox was the one they were shopping.
Yes.
It wasn't like they were shopping Tyrese Halliburton. And if you're the Pacers, you're looking at it as, no, I want somebody who's under rookie control and not have a max deal or a near max deal or a deal that's going to eat up a huge percentage of my salary cap going forward. And if I remember correctly, that was before the CBA and the aprons. Everyone knew where these things were going. Luxury tax was still a thing. That's nothing new. But how you operate in the luxury tax is where things get crazy. And I know, I've probably used this analogy 50 times, but like the whole shocking of the pool thing, like you can't get in right away. I think in 4 years, the NBA will adjust. A lot of these salaries will be to where teams are now being able to move a little bit more free. You're not going to have so many of these bloated contracts. Now, look, supermaxes will still exist, and rightfully so, and I think it'll provide opportunities for guys to get paid in this league. But with success and with those things come ramifications. And trust me, like, there's teams already looking at 2027, 2028, where guys look at just the Oklahoma City. They can't keep everyone together. Someone's going to have to fall off, and every team's going to have those instances. But I think these aprons tend to open it up a little bit more, and at least it's by design, to where if you have a whole bunch of success and you have to reward these players, you're not going to be able to have these dynasties, if you will, like the Warriors, who were able to win 3 odd championships in a bigger span of time.
Surprised with you working for NBC now, you're not at the Olympics.
Well, that duty gets to go to Deirdre Fitzpatrick. She is queen of the
Yes,
Olympics
she is.
and the Hearst family. So, yeah, she gets to go and provide a whole bunch of content. I am not jealous. That looks absolutely miserable and frigid. And as much as I'd love to go to Italy one day and Milano and all these things like that, I have no desire to go cover that. The Olympics, I'll be able to kind of check that box when they come to LA. I've been able to do a lot of USA basketball, but certainly not for the Olympics. But hey, I'm not complaining, man. I've had a lot of travel of late. It's kind of taken away my attention from this horrible, sucky Kings team to do 49ers, Super Bowl, and then I've got spring training on the horizon. So I've got a number of little things that are occupying my time in the meantime, and I don't need to add the Olympics to that.
Wow, covering spring training. I wonder what that's like. Good to hear. We're out of time. I wish I'd have had you at 8 a.m. What happened?
Nobody overslept, for the record. I got to listen to a good portion of your show.
Dude, I'm so sorry. Chris asked me what time Sean coming on. I was like, 8:28. But it turns out I told somebody else 8:28 for next week, and that embedded in my head. Because I even remember saying to you, like, is that too early? And you're like, no, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
And can I say
my voice held up, right?
Your voice is great. And can I also say, is it okay for me to say this? You look good. You look good.
Oh, thanks, pal.
You look good. You look good. Lastly, as we go, we started out the show, since Jason's gone. It's a little off the rails at 6 a.m. and people were sending in some of their favorite memories of the night show. Just so people understand, Sean was a part of that night show for a while.
Where are we going, Dave?
Yeah, I don't. No. I was thinking, I don't know.
Sean booked some interesting guests back then.
Yes, he did.
I did. Sure did.
What wasn't that
in studio?
Wasn't that just like, now that you look back on it, wasn't that just like a piece out of time that doesn't fit anywhere else? Like, I to this day don't understand how that night show lasted 5 or 6 years.
I truly believe nobody in management or in a corporate structure had any idea what was going on.
That's what I say.
And yeah, I mean, well, then again, I mean, look at what was going on in the midday on that radio station when we were all growing up. I mean,
yeah,
that was this close. I mean, the funny thing is like, look, we're still doing our thing. Guys like Howard Stern are still on the radio, which, like, what happened there? I mean, that was a complete shift. So. Yeah. It is quite something, and hey, man, I'm proud of where I came from. It showed me what not to do.
That's exactly right. We made every single mistake possible so that we would hopefully not make them again. Whether it's the character, you may remember the judge. He was a great character. That
yes.
Some of our rejoiners. Somebody said earlier they remembered my mom gave me a box. She used to record every show on cassette tape. It's a box of about 150 tapes, and it's all I can do to not literally light that whole thing on fire. Because I know it would take me down. I just wonder how many of you it would take down with me.
Oh, a lot. And here again, I know you got to run, but I'm not going to name names. There was somebody in your chair at that time slot before you that I still quasi follow on social media.
Yeah.
And I think
I know exactly who you're talking about.
And he likes to put out things on social media that are that pertain to his chosen career path that he's at now, after radio and after media.
Yeah.
And I ran across one the other day, and I just kind of scoffed at it. I went, he did this garbage nonsense when he was on the air.
Yes,
It was the same. So like, he hadn't changed. So it's like these characters that still pop in your life from old jobs or whatever, and they've gone on to do so. Some people are still in that same frame mold, if you will, and kudos to him.
And who would have thought that so many of us would have gone on to massively exceed any part of that guy's career he ever had?
Yeah, how about that?
Huh? Hey,
who'd have thunk?
Hey, love you.
Love you too, buddy.
All right, thanks, pal. Talk to you soon.
See you.
Sean Cunningham of NBC Sports. Old friend. We'll take a break when we come back. What's hot, what's not. And the NFL, once again, is stupid.